Hi, my name is Adrian, and I'm gonna talk about the book Age of Ethical Machines. This book was published in 1989 by Ray Kurzweil, a respected inventor of computer science who has received several honorary doctorates. The book is divided into three large parts. The first explains the evolution of the universe, humans, and technology. The second talks about the various developments that will happen during the 21st century. Finally, the third part approaches how technology would overcome humanity. At the beginning of the book, the author mentions Moore's law and how progress is always exponential. However, it points out how all living beings have a limit that prevents them from going beyond. Thus, a life could be delayed or terminated by different phenomena such as extinctions or catastrophes. Life can be visualized almost as a cycle. But what would happen when Moore's law is not delayed? Where does the evolutionary peak that is human intelligence is surpassed by technology? The author further expand his view throughout the book. The first chapters explain how computing has been growing exponentially. Ray's point of view is extremely optimistic about the progress of humanity, going as far as to argue that by humanity could have developed futuristic softwares. Such arguments obviously didn't end up happening. However, we are not as far as we may think. It's really shocking how he addresses the evolution of nature and humanity as something that can be easily exceeded by computers. Technology is reaching, at least nowadays, a superficial sense in which the human conscious can be manipulated and explored by simple algorithms. Ones that, contrary to the human conscious, didn't require hundreds of millions of years of evolutions. In this regard, it's important to talk about what the author calls the law of time and chaos. The more chaos there is, the longer it will take to achieve certain goals, and there more order existing in the world, less time will be required. The universe, being complex and chaotic, takes a long time to reach relevant events. To explore such law, we can think about how human beings were able to evolve to store data via DNA further accelerated its evolutionary process. A very similar thing happens with technology. Certain developments further accelerate other bigger ones. For example, the first human existed 500,000 years ago, and technology such as writing, language, etc., a few thousand years ago. Computers are really evolving differently and even more quickly than we thought, and it's alarming. The second part of the book is about the developments that will take place in the 21st century, such as augmented reality, nanotechnology. And this chapter goes into detail about said developments and presents the beneficial and bad potential that each one could have. He addresses nanotechnology as something that is going to have a radical change in longevity of human life and augmented reality. How it is going to cover all these sense, sight, touches, hearing, smell, propitiating a totally virtual life. Ray also makes different predictions for the year 1999, 2009, 2029 and 2099, and in the latter, the human and the machines will be totally equal. Virtual assistants also will proliferate, as is currently happening with Siri, Alexa, Google, Cortana. In 2019, he mentions an integration of technology and humanity through chips and prostheses. There will be almost no differentiation between humans and computers anymore. In the year 2029, the machines will completely surpass humans, and they will be the ones who make the important decisions. I was really shocked when I read the book, because an inventor from 1989 predicted quite a few things that happened, and yet we are amazed when the Simpsons do it. So it's quite funny. But on a serious note, although he was a little bit overly optimistic and set some very high expectations regarding the advancement of technology, his ideas were very accurate in terms of the accelerated dependency that humans have for the technology and machines. Nowadays, it is unthinkable to spend a day without internet or get information from somewhere else except from Google. We depend more and more on our devices, and the sensory and physical experience of life is turning less and less essential. And especially in the pandemic, it felt like a totally virtual and individual world. For example, virtual classes made our classmates become simple voices, or even sometimes just things that perform tasks. And it's interesting how you can get to a point where you could have classmates, workmates, and even friends who are computers, mere algorithms. What interests me the most in the book is how the rights of computers are discussed, and how they will need to be validated and recognized as conscious and sensitive entities. What will our reaction be when that happen, and how different will their existence be from ours? And taking the Facebook metaverse as an example, the way in which people present themselves in it will change not only connectivity or the way we relate to each other, but also the way in which we perceive and understand the world, no longer as something physical and in some way complete, but as an endless universe of information, where even in a few years our consciousness can be uploaded to the cloud, and we can't forget about death itself, causing much of what makes us human to vanish. And if this happens, what will be the problems of the future? What will be the next step of humanity? And yeah, well, I just wanted to end this chapter of the book and this opinion of the book here, because I just have these so many questions about what is being human, or what is gonna be being human in a future, and even if computers itself can be or be perceived as human because we created them. So it's a really complex lecture. The first chapter was the hardest to read, but I really enjoyed how it's address like the technology, this technological world we are living in, because we know technology have these problems, or these precautions like dangerous things, but we as a society do not take it seriously. We just think that they are gonna solve in the future, but the future is now. So we have to address these issues and solve them.